would like to talk about 7 gardening trends that are so big that you are going to see them everywhere this year. And are they worth it? Let's talk about that. Welcome to today's greenhouse chat, where we have taken the chat just outside of the greenhouse so we can absorb some of this sunshine today. Hi, you guys. This is Nicole from My Carolina Garden. My garden is located in growing zone 8B, and I am in southeastern North Carolina. This is a fabulous time of year to start talking about some of the gardening trends that are happening, because we are planning our gardens. We're thinking about what we want, what direction we want to take some of these flower beds. So why not look at these trends? I will try to leave my opinion out of it and just give you all of the information that I have gathered up on these trends, and we can see what we think about them by the end. The first trend is that gardeners are embracing native plants now more than ever. All right, let's step back. What is a native plant? A native plant is just a plant that has been thriving and growing in an area over a long period of time. So this plant has evolved over time. This plant is acclimated to the climate, the environment. It's usually easier to care for a native plant than a non-native plant, where you might be battling trying to keep this baby alive when it didn't come from your area. So why are native plants popular right now? A bunch of reasons. Let's jump in. They support our local wildlife, like our birds, like our pollinators, like beneficial insects. So those are all really cool ideas. Okay, so I did give my opinion on that. Typically, native plants are going to require less watering, less fertilizer, and less care than if we choose a non-native plant for our area. Now look, I also understand sometimes we want to pick and choose maybe some tropical babies that come from South America or something that are just like so gorgeous, we want to give them a shot. I am not knocking that. I'm just saying the trend here is more natives now than ever. Overall, planting native plants can create a more sustainable and healthy garden for us. And here's something really cool. Luckily, we live in a time where we can just jump online to a few different websites and find out what plants are native in our area. So some of these websites are the National Wildlife Federation's Native Plant Finder, the Audubon's Native Plant Database, and your local extension office is a great resource to find things that really thrive in your area. Trend number 2, there is a brand new focus on creating very natural looking gardens. Naturalistic garden design is just overtaking things like perfectly manicured or even formal garden designs. People are interested in creating their gardens to look not cottage garden style, but instead like prairies, like meadows, like things that you might find just naturally on hills, that sort of idea. So again, if I say it's not cottage garden style or it's not perfectly manicured and formal, what is it that we're actually saying? Well, it's more about recreating plant groupings and stylings that you're going to find out in nature. So we're just trying to mimic a little bit more of a natural design. So we are actually being intentional with our plantings, because after all, we are the caretakers of this land and not just Mother Nature. So we're intentionally planting, but we're doing it in such a way that it looks natural and wild and free. What would be like a meadow-inspired idea? Gardeners are starting to use tall plants, medium height plants, as well as ground covers to kind of mix in, fill in with that layered look, and just come up with the most natural feel they can think of to fill in all those spaces. A benefit of this trend is that it encourages biodiversity. So folks are also using a mix of perennials, grasses, and wildflowers. Trend number 3 is water-wise landscaping. So water conservation is on everyone's mind these days, especially I know those folks who live in desert, dry, arid areas that don't get a ton of rainfall. But it's on other people's mind as well. We're looking to create gardens that maybe require less watering overall. So we're selecting drought-tolerant plants, maybe like sedums or lavender or even Russian sage. We're looking for our plant selection to be different in that way. But something else we're doing is we're trying to maybe save our rainwater using rain barrels and such, and collecting that water that we can then disperse on our property. Or maybe some of us are trying drip irrigation, and we can set timers to our drip irrigation system that allows the watering to just come on certain very intentional times of the day or night and for certain periods of time only. That can save us a lot of money in our watering bill because we're not just out there going all over the place all the time. Of course, I would like to also say that using a drip irrigation system in place of hand watering also saves us time. So it's almost like, yeah, save money on your water bill, but save time in your life, and that is valuable as well. So if you live in a dry climate or you just want to spend less time gardening, I think this trend is pretty cool because it's really just focusing on environmental friendliness. And again, water conservation, I'm all about it. Trend number 4 is incorporating edible perennials. This one's also pretty cool. Why just plant plants for their looks when you can be feeding yourself or your family as well? So growing something beautiful and edible is obviously the point of this trend. And the idea of doing edible perennials is to be able to feed yourself year after year with these plants that you're choosing. So why this trend is popular? Well, choosing things like blueberries or elderberries, for example, that come back for you year after year, obviously that's less work than having to plant crops every single year. Okay, that makes sense. By planting edible perennials, that means it's a little less maintenance because, again, we're not planting annually, but it also adds beauty and functionality to the garden. And sometimes we just want that little extra purpose, don't we? And also, while people are creating themed gardens, like they want this one to be only tropical plants or maybe a certain color, why not have a section that's dedicated just to edible perennials? Just to give you a little list of some other edible perennials that you could try: asparagus, rhubarb, artichokes, and some herbs like thyme and rosemary return year after year with a little bit of effort. I happen to not be someone that plants a ton of edible perennials in my yard, but I really do understand this trend as well. So far, I actually understand all of them. Trend number 5 is to create a garden for pollinators. Pollinator gardens are huge right now, and I can understand why. When you see butterflies fluttering through your garden, offering that bit of whimsy and a little extra color, and you see that they're getting the nectar from your plants, you feel really excited about that, or at least I do. Now, I know some folks want to say they're afraid of bees or they've been stung by wasps or whatever it may be, so they're afraid of certain pollinators coming into their garden. So be it. Maybe this trend is not for you. But here are some reasons why it's popular. You are supporting the population of bees, butterflies, and hummingbirds. This garden style really focuses on nectar-rich plants like coneflowers, like milkweed, and salvia. And this style also encourages planting in drifts so that you can attract more pollinators. I don't know about you, but that's actually a goal of mine for this year, is to plant in drifts even more. So if it attracts more pollinators, I think that's just a bonus. Even a small pollinator garden can make a difference. So if you're interested in helping out your local wildlife and have a stunning garden, this trend might be for you. Trend number 6 is to create outdoor living spaces. So no longer are your gardens just for plants, but instead we're extending our living areas into the outdoors. Pretty cool, right? So if you start to think of your garden as more of a living space, you're thinking about adding areas for entertaining or relaxing, seating areas where you can invite your friends, where someone can go and enjoy a book, that sort of thing. Let's think about some of the features that are becoming more popular. Things like fire pits or pergolas. Think about comfy seating areas and outdoor kitchens. Those things are really, really hot right now. The really cool thing about this trend is that it actually turns your garden space into an area that you spend a lot of time in. And we've had conversations in the past as gardeners that we create this whole gorgeous space, but we don't actually spend the time to sit and enjoy it as much as we should. We're sure enjoying the work and enjoying the process of putting the garden together, but how awesome is it to actually spend time with other people as well if you want to, in your garden, enjoying that space that you spent so much time and energy making. So the idea of making your garden feel inviting and not just decorative appeals to you, then this trend might be for you. The 7th and final trend that is exploding this year is adding art into our gardens. If you know my garden, you know that I have art right in there too. Doesn't have to just be something that you made, but maybe you're supporting a local artist by purchasing something created for the outdoors that you can add into your space. Or wouldn't it be fun to maybe spend some time with your kids and plant or paint up some flower pots or something like that? Any way that you can add your personality, a bit of your character into your garden space, I think that is awesome. And not only are you giving a personal and creative touch to the space, but maybe you're creating this piece of art as a focal point. That's awesome too, because gardens really do need like anchors and focal points to have the most visual appeal. So if we can put a sculpture or maybe a mosaic of some kind, maybe we've made our own bird bath and that would be a focal point. It doesn't just have to be artwork or physical painting, but something else that we've created to add into that space. Anyway, that trend is all about creativity, so I am all about that. I see the appeal to every single one of these garden trends. I'm interested to know, would you be jumping on board with any one of these trends? Like, does something appeal to you so much that you want to integrate that into your garden this year? Again, since we're designing and planning our garden right now, hey, why not? Maybe one of these trends is perfect to add into our garden plan for the year. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this got your wheels of creativity and inspiration churning for the way that you're designing your garden and thinking about it in these upcoming days and weeks. Spring is right around the corner, you guys. And until next time, you guys, happy planting.